Hey there, just in my backyard. It's a sunny enough day in Wellington, New Zealand. We've been through about 6 weeks of lockdown for the coronavirus. Coming up with things to do, I thought I'd actually talk about what I had in my backpack. I was meant to go tramping just before New Zealand started moving into lockdown, and I had to help out at work with trying to get everyone home so they could work from home, and I also injured my knee, so I had to cancel my tramping trip, or hiking if you prefer. I do my pack, and I haven't really unpacked it since I packed it up, so I thought I'd just grab it from my basement and go through all my gear and talk about what I've got in there. It's not an ultralight kit out. I know there's a million clips out there on ultralight backpacking, and I watch a lot of them. I get some ideas from them, but I probably wouldn't pass muster trying to compare myself to those guys. I should say, this canvas mat here, it's actually my uncle's. He canvas and leather with buckles on the side. He actually used to take it mustering livestock in New Zealand high country. He'd go out for days, perhaps even weeks, on horseback, mustering livestock. And this was his sleeping mat and bivvy bag. You can sort of buckle yourself into it, so it's actually like a big sack with a hood. It's quite heavy. It's not the sort of thing you'd choose to take backpacking, hiking, tramping if you could help it. They used to take it on horseback, so I use it as a ground sheet, so perfect for this sort of thing. Not quite the same vintage, but not too far off it. It's my style of pack I use. This is a framed pack. It doesn't have a chest strap, just a waist strap. It's a canvas style, sort of designed, pretty much based on traditional New Zealand tramping and hunting packs. It's modular, and when it's empty, I'll show you what I mean by that. Strapping, well, not strapping, but cordage down the side, so you can slide things down there. On that side too, a couple of pouches. Opens up a fair way if you need to. I've made a bit of a mod. I hand sewed some canvas and some cord on the top, just so that I can have it a bit higher than it was designed to be and still have some protection there. You can see that. Yeah, you don't see this style. I don't think you can buy this style in the shops anymore. You still see these out in the bush, and I think they pretty much made it with small alterations or some changes to materials for about 30 years, maybe 60s, 70s, 80s, possibly even early 90s. And very successful design, and I've stuck with it. This has lasted decades and still going strong. There's nothing on there I can't repair myself, either with a needle and thread, or a bit of canvas or some strapping. If the frame broke, I'd just jam some wood in there and fix it that way. I lash something together. So a very successful design of pack, and I keep using it because it's also, I find it more comfortable. I think this rigid frame really helps with my just the way I carry packs in my physique. So I've owned more modern packs, but I've always just come back to this one. So this is the one I still use. Right, what do we got in here? Oh yeah, the map and compass, and a waterproof container, and a tea bag, and some just blank pieces of paper for taking notes, an old GPS, E-Trex 10 I think it is, and I don't know, this is probably almost 18, so years old, still working. I've got all my camping spots and various things I want to record the location of in there. This takes batteries, standard AA batteries, which is handy. I just take some spare batteries, knowing that if it goes flat I don't have to worry about recharging, figuring out how I'm going to recharge it. I just chuck some more batteries in there. And the thing I use this most for is telling the time, actually. Really handy knowing when sunset and sunrise, or sunset specifically, so you know when it's time to start looking for a campsite for the night. I have actually bought a replacement, but this is the one that had all my campsites in it, so this was the one I was gonna take. And yep, you can link it up to a computer and download and upload. No, you can't you can upload wayfaring, I think it's called, navigation points. I don't really use those, but you can certainly download everywhere you've been. And I'll just put that on my waist around the strap there. Personal locator beacon, in case I get into a bit of trouble. This is a KTI brand, I believe it's Australian, 10-year shelf life, and quite reasonably priced. Not the smallest, but certainly small enough for me. If you need it, there it is. I've lent this to a few friends as well. I think it comes with it comes with a signal mirror, just in case you need that. You can use it for shaving or first aid or getting splinters out of my eyes or whatever. So that comes in handy too. Just some of the cordage I have. I always like to take a bit of cordage, and I'll tell you about why later. Some hand cream. I find that I sweat a lot. You know, if I'm around campfires, I tend to have dry skin, so I just keep a small tube of moisturiser to keep stop my fingers from cracking, the skin from cracking. Black diamond headband style light. Does the job pretty well. When I bought it, I didn't understand the instructions and I broke the little tab that keeps it down, so I've got this rubber band to keep it together. Seems to hold up. I've held it underwater and the water doesn't get in, so my rubber band is the only thing that's keeping this working. Yeah, I don't know if I didn't get hold of anyone about me breaking it because I felt stupid about breaking it, but I don't know, it seemed a little bit of a design flaw to me that would be so easy to break. Just trying to open it, who knows, failed on that one. These pouches are where I keep the things that I might need in a hurry. It's my water filtration sterilisation kit. Soy squeeze mini. Every second person in the world seems to have one of these. I just keep it with this bag, and there's the filtration system there. So I fill that up, put it in there, and drink it straight out of the filter or into a storage vessel. That's one part of it. Well, let me get this aside. Keep some sterilisation tabs in the watertight container as well, just as a backup, in case that fails for some reason or I lose it. Plus, if I'm doing litres of water at a time, I don't want to be using that, and I'll just chuck a tablet in and leave it for half an hour. I also keep a spare bottle top. It's just in case I want to use this as a water container. I can fill that up, and there I have another water storage vessel. It says 16 ounces. I don't know what ounces means. I use the metric system, so I'm a bit lost. I'd say it's probably about half a litre, maybe 600 mils. I'm sure someone will tell me what it means, and then complain about me using the metric system and not understanding ounces and pounds. Never mind. Here's another little water container I use. I saw this in a shop and I just purchased it to keep the container. I just like the shape, sort of hip plast shape. It means that it can fit nicely in a pouch like that. So this is what I'll have on the go. That's sort of my walking and drinking bottle. Actually, I shouldn't say walking, I have to stop, put down the pack and get it out of the pack, but that's what I use. Toiletries, some hand sanitizer. If I'd sold this at the right time a month ago, I might have made a little bit of money there. Sea to Summit trowel. It's a collapsible one, so saves a bit of space. It has a hollow handle, so if you want, you can take it off and put things in there. I don't really know what I need to put in there. It's a bit of an unusual shape. You can put a lighter or some matches or something. Perhaps an emergency piece of toilet paper. But yeah, folds up. Little pouch. So that's what I'll use to dig a hole. Some toilet paper and some wet wipes. And I'll double bag that because I don't want wet toilet paper. And if ever you've had to use wet toilet paper, you'll understand why. A first aid kit, just a basic one. Probably the most important thing there is a large bandage with some little clips, so I can use that to either bind up a wound, or if I need to make a strapping because I've sprained an ankle or something, I'll use that. And there are some sterilisation pads and a few other odds and ends of bandages. What else? Yeah, some gauzes and the like. And yeah, it's more sterilisation pads. I also in here keep a leather working needle, a safety pin, and some leather working thread. And I'll use that either in an emergency, heaven forbid, first aid emergency I mean, or if I have to repair a pack or a shoe or something that needs some hard wearing needlework and thread, this is it. And I have used it once or twice for things like pack repairs or clothes, ripping clothes and things like that. Also in my first aid kit I have a mini bear jaws, which is a compact multi-tool. The thing I use the most here are the pliers. Maybe I need to undo a bolt on something, or I need to repair a little piece of metalwork or pull a needle through something. I'll use these pliers. They're kind of a little bit needle nose-ish, and I've also used it to pull out splinters and the like. Also has a few little screwdriver fittings, a nice sharp blade. Imagine I could use that for medical purposes if I had to, but that's just my general sort of pocket knife type thing as well. And also has a little file, either nails, if you chip a nail and you need to smooth it out, but also I've used it where I've had to repair a little piece of metal and I've filed down a sharp edge. So that stays in my first aid kit. And the last thing in my first aid kit is just a little essential balm, 5 mils or something, and I'll use that for sprains or insect bites and the like. Really like having this here, it's very useful. A bushcraft knife, and I'll just use this to prepare firewood. Perhaps if I need to make a tent peg, or I'm just mucking around, I'll use this. If you're familiar with Mora knives, this is a bushcraft model called Mora knife for a bust, and it's a little bit stubbier, so it's wider. I think it's 1/8 of an inch. I'll use the metrics system if I could. I don't know what that is in mils, but that's what it was advertised as, so that's what I remember it as. And it's pretty bulletproof. You can baton wood. Can you see that? Yeah, I've cut through pieces of wood as thick as your arm, no problems at all. So that's what I'll take is a knife and a tool. Just a bit of insect repellent. Just a few water pouches. They fold away into nothing. If I need a little bit more water storage, I'll use these. I think these are about half a litre each, so it's about a litre's worth of water storage capacity there. Rearrange some of this. Here's my cooking bag. In here I have pots, fuel, cup and stove. This is actually a side pouch from a newer pack by the same company. This is made by Hallmark. It's a Hallmark Everest. I used to have a pack called the Hallmark Phoenix 2, and these were optional 5 litre pouches for the side. So I'm still using those. And I should also say, if I need extra space, I can strap these onto the side here. So it's quite a useful way of storing stuff if you need to. You can attach it to the side of your pack rather than just a standard storage sack. So I've got lots of different cooking stoves and systems, as I'm sure a lot of outdoor enthusiasts do. One I take quite often is my Optimus 99, older style camping stove. I have a separate review on one of these which you can look at on my channel. That's the stove itself. The lid is a pot. So this is called an Optimus 99, also sometimes called a Hunter, and there's a modernised version of this you can still buy today. So like this pack, it's got proven pedigree. It's a windshield, and there's various, it's the pot holder. There. So it's got various bits and pieces you need to keep it running. That's like a brass fuel container. That'll maybe do you a couple of meals. So if you're just going overnight, you just take that, fill that up, and take it with you, and you're good to go for a few meals or a few hot drinks. Yeah. Hello, bumblebee. Maybe don't sting me. You right there? Nice. Someone's playing bongos. I'm in my backyard. It looks a bit bushy around here. We do have a big valley, and sounds tend to carry across it. So someone in the background's playing bongos or congos. That's my stove. Try and work around this bumblebee. This is a British Army mess tin, detachable handle. So I'll bring this so I can have an extra pot, and I really like cooking while I'm tramping. It's a big part of it for me. So I like to be able to fry things in this, or simmer, or eat from one pot while another's cooking. So I know a lot of those ultralight guys will only take one pot, a sort of big cup. I'll take several. Just put that there so that bumblebee can get away. It's a titanium cup, foldable handle. I can't remember the brand. It was the cheapest I could find, and that's what I'll use as a cup. I can also use this as a small pot. And somewhere yes, there's a lid for it, so I can use that to, if I'm just boiling a cup of water for tea or coffee or hot chocolate, I'll actually just put that on and cook it and then drink it straight from the pot. This is a small windshield. It was part of a bigger windshield, so petitioned concertina, and it was probably about that long, but I took a lot of them off. I use this, B's gone, I use this as a lid just to speed up the cooking process, and if I have to I can also use it as a small windshield, perhaps from the prevailing winds, and that's very lightweight, so don't worry too much about a few grams that weighs. And titanium spork. This is a Kathmandu brand one, which is a local travel store. They sell a lot of camping gear. They don't sell a full range of tramping gear though. You wouldn't be able to buy fuel for a liquid fuel for a stove, for instance, or solid fuel tablets, but you'll be able to buy all manner of clothing, tents, cooking utensils and the like. So sort of place you might go for a family camping holiday, to buy stuff for a family camping holiday, or if you're going overseas. Here is the fuel bottle, and yeah, just very conveniently seems to fit inside the cup. So I put it in a bag just to make sure there's no residue from the fuel container in the bottom of the cup. Various electronics, so a small power bank, cables, cigarette lighter, some headphones, and headphones are so that if I have to I can turn my cell phone into an FM radio. I know a lot of iPhones don't do it these days, or any iPhones don't do it, but the Android phone I always like to buy them with a radio, so that I can listen to the radio, and also I think it saves battery power. I think these are use less electricity than an onboard speaker. These are just some solid fuel tablets. Just carry, they're really lightweight, they weigh nothing. I just take a few of those in case I have a stove failure, or I run out of fuel, or I need a fire starter. So these are just a bit of an emergency backup, or if I'm trying to start a fire in the rain or something like that, they'll come in handy. And there's a insect repelling tea light candle, so that's another thing I can do. Works as a small light at night, but also helps keep sandflies and mosquitoes away. Yeah, and I could either use these tablets in the stove or just make something out of a couple of bits of wood or some stones. Done. And I just take a small power bank. This will recharge my phone a few times, and I don't leave my phone on while I'm tramping, so I don't really need a lot of power. This is a synthetic sleeping bag, Austrail Micro Smart. It says it weighs thought the weight was on it. 1.5 kg, 0 degrees centigrade for comfort, -5 extreme, and it's all I need for where I'm going. If it's going to get a bit colder, I can take a sleeping bag liner, or even I'll just take another very small lightweight summer sleeping bag and use that, and that'll get me through a sub-zero night. I think in here I might also have an inflatable pillow. There's a Sea to Summit Eros Ultra Light Regular Inflatable Pillow, and I started taking this along. I usually just bound up some clothes and chuck them in the sleeping bag and use that, but I've just found I sleep a bit better with something like this. Something this size, this weight, it's not going to make a big difference. This is a semi-mummy, so you can imagine a normal mummy sleeping bag, except it doesn't have a rounded bottom, it's got a square bottom, and you can actually unzip it from the bottom and walk in your sleeping bag, so that might be handy to some people. And here is a X-Bed down mat, sleeping mat. It's really comfortable, and it actually has a really good warming property, so it's insulated well and it keeps you actually warm, and they come in various ratings. This is value 4.1, which is all I'll ever need for wherever I'm going. Takes a little while to pump it up, maybe 2 or 3 minutes, and same to deflate it and put it away. It's great for when you're sleeping on uneven surfaces, little roots or rocks. They're just absorbed in the compression of the mat. The only, well, aside from it takes a little bit of time to deflate it and deflate it. The only problem I've ever had with it is I do seem to have a higher number of punctures and cuts in the mat than I'd normally expect. I never had that problem with the Thermarest, but I think that those cuts have always happened in a hut or cabin where I like to stay. I think there might be something sharp in one of the bed bunks. So ever since I've stopped sleeping with this in that cabin bunk, I haven't had any problems. So touch wood, stay that way. And Intense Outdoors, it's a one-person lightweight tent, uses a walking pole. I've been using a high-tech light carbon 60%. It's by a Finnish company, and I haven't had any problems with this. This is fine. I bought it specifically because it had these, I don't know what you call them, clip type fastening devices. What I found is I did have another walking pole that had twist to lock it in place and move it up and down, and it would just get clogged with mud and dirt, and it would actually get jammed, and I'd either compact it away and not be able to expand it, or vice versa. So I've switched to this, and I haven't had any problems with these clasp type fasteners. So that's a tip I'd pass on for people who aren't familiar with walking poles and want to start using one. This is double walled. It has a mosquito net, built-in ground sheet or footprint. I think it's about 800 grams. I've used it in some pretty heavy rain, and it's been fine. It does take a little while to put up, and it's not freestanding, so you've got to make sure you've got good ground. But yeah, it does the job, certainly for the price I paid for it, which I think was maybe about 150 New Zealand dollars. I'm pleased with it. Yeah, it's pretty cheap actually, but it's been fine for what I've used it for. You could actually fit 2 people in there if you had to. Only one would have the benefits of the mosquito net and the ground sheet. The other person would have to stay in the vestibule, and your gear would have to be outside. But yeah, in an emergency you could fit another person in there without too much hassle. This is just a plastic rubbish bag. I just use that either to, if I think I need to keep something dry, I'll put it in there, but usually it's just to take rubbish out, or wet clothing, store wet clothing. Here is another bag, a few odds and ends, some paracetamol, a little AM/FM radio. I really like taking a radio with me into the bush so I can check the weather reports. Also, it's a little bit of company at night if I'm by myself. I like to listen to Radio New Zealand. Follow Brian on a Saturday night. He certainly makes you feel like you're at a party. Some spare batteries for radio, GPS and headlight. Some note paper. Just a small tiny LED key ring light. I can hang that up in the tent if I need to. And just also as a backup. Small pencil and eraser for a notepad. Matches and a striker in waterproof container. A small cigarette lighter. Just another small, very lightweight, very cheap LED torch or flashlight. I don't really need two of them. It was probably just accidental. I bought this for next to nothing, and it's actually been really good. Yeah, it's still going strong. It's quite bright. I don't know where they come from, but I think it cost about 50 cents, maybe $1. But actually, it's not a bad addition. And just another paracetamol tablet. Just put all this away so I don't lose it. Sun's disappearing. Getting a little bit of cloud. There's a dry bag. Oh, just a book. I like just grabbing random books that might be interesting. This is some 1950s compilation of short stories. Argosy. So I think this was popular in, from what I can tell, it was popular in a lot of Commonwealth countries. This is not from 1947. And look, it's actually got sort of the to address form on the book itself. So I guess this was, it says tie string across here. So this would have been addressed to someone, strung up and sent around the world. December 1946, 1 shilling and 3 pence. And it's just got some classic short stories by people for H.G. Wells, Robbie Louis Stevenson and the like. But I'll take other books. So it's something that I don't mind if it goes missing, and it's probably quite interesting. It's actually got a stamp on it. Another dry sack, and for this bigger one, I'll just use it to put the like survival essentials. So I'll put my sleeping bag and some clothes. Just imagining if I fell in a river, which I've done before, fell in a river or it was really heavy rain and everything in my pack just got drenched, I'd know at least that my sleeping bag and my clothes, I had some warm clothes to change into. So at the end of the day, I could set up a campsite and be nice and toasty. I'll put this in there too, the mat, so I don't need to worry about things getting wet. A couple of litre water containers. This one has volumes up the side. Oh look, it's got ounces and mils, so there we go. 16 ounces is about 480 mils, so almost half a litre. So we can learn to live together, after all. And it's just a litre water container with a sipper on the top. I really like this one actually, just because of the square size. Makes it seems to be able to put it in the pack with less wasted space than the round ones. And the other thing I take is this small tarp or tarpaulin. I use it for a few different things. I can use it as a ground sheet for that second part of my tent. The vestibule doesn't have a ground sheet, so I can lay this out if the ground's muddy or dirty to put things on. If it's raining, I can use it to make a fly for my tent, or a covered area out the front so I can sit down under it. And another thing I use it for is if I'm overloaded in my pack, I can actually wrap things up in this to make a waterproof bundle and then put it on the outside of the tent. Also, where I go tramping, there could be hunters, and just to help them identify me as a human and not a stag or a boar or a mountain goat, I can just attach that to the top of my pack, so there's some man-made looking blue shining through the bush. And because I go by myself, I go solo for a few days at a time, it's good knowing that you could use this to signal. Put this up a tree or lay this on the ground, and it would help search aircraft or search party find you if it was visible. So aside from food and clothing and a can of beer or two, that's what I take into the bush with me. When you're solo, you just need to take a few more precautions. So that's why I have double ups of a few things. So I have lots of water. Some of the ridge lines you go up, there may not be any water sources up there, so knowing that I have around 4 litres of water storage, and it weighs a lot, but that's what you have to do. If there's no water around, you have to take it with you. It just gives me a bit of peace of mind. And likewise, the cooking and the like, it's more than a lot of people would take, but I really enjoy cooking. It's one of the highlights of me when I'm tramping. This pack, I said it was modular, and what I mean by that is there were third-party add-ons you could buy. So here's this back brace. You could buy different types of straps and put them on. So everything's removable. You could strip this back to the bare metal frame. I've seen people with 2 back braces. This one only has 1. That's all I need. You can replace the straps. So they just attach here, and you can undo some bolts and rethread straps. So if they break, you can replace them pretty easily. Same with this waist strap. That's a third-party add-on. Sorry, it's probably provided by Hallmark, but it's an additional add-on, I should say. And the frame itself, that can detach from the main body of the pack. So it means if you have to do some repairs, maybe pull out the sewing machine at home, or that needle and thread I've got there in the bush, you've actually got these pins. Pull those out, and the pack separates from the frame. So if you teared it down the back here, you've got easy access to it. It also means you can replace the frame with a different. If it breaks, you replace it. If this, you just want to replace it, wears out completely, and you want to replace it, you can. But it does mean that as new additions or versions of things came out, you might have had a canvas and you wanted to try this new synthetic nylon packing. You could take this off and just buy the nylon material part of it and attach it to the frame. Another function of this was that people that were hunting or collecting firewood, they could actually take this part of it off and just have this metal frame, and when they say shot an animal and field dressed it, they wanted to bring some meat back, they could actually tie the meat to the frame and carry that on their back. And likewise for firewood. I've seen at least pictures of people, and they sort of have a brace, so there's a bit that comes out of the bottom. I'm not quite sure. I guess that's something you'd buy and bolt on or attach or something as an extra. So I'm not too sure. I hope I get a few more decades out of this yet, but I see them in second-hand shops, and yeah, if I needed to, I could buy another one without too much hassle. Yeah, it's a shame they don't make this style anymore, at least that I've seen for sale in New Zealand. I think the company went bust in the 90s, but if you look for Hallmark Everest backpack, you'll notice they seem to have a bit of a cult status in the UK for some reason, even though it's a New Zealand brand. They're popular with bushcrafters, I think, because they sort of use more traditional types of materials and aren't sort of the modern synthetic design with lots of stripes and different colours, just a little bit more subdued. Alright, well, I hope that's been useful. As I said, it's not ultralight. It's got a few bits and pieces that you might find in an ultralight kit out, but it's what I take into the bush with me. And yeah, all I need is food, and I could last for quite a while. I think food and fuel for the fire is all I'd need to add to my kit out to make the stay longer. Alright, see you later. One more thing, I realised I didn't show you this. This is my washing up kit. So I just have a steel wool, a little bit of Cedar Summit Wilderness Wash, so you can use that for cleaning your body, washing hands, or dishwashing liquid. I used to just use dishwashing liquid in that way anyway. That's all I take is hand soap and for cleaning dishes. But I was given this, so this is what I've been using recently, and when it's empty I'm just going to fill it up with regular dishwashing liquid. And this is just a little cloth microfiber type thing, and I'll use that to dry. I'm not at all worried about eating from aluminium cookware either. I have done my own research into that, and I'm happy enough that the levels of aluminium I may be consuming while using aluminium cookware, or aluminum cookware if you're from the States, is well within reasonable limits. And in fact, you might actually want to look up, I found out that there's a lot of like nickel and chromium in steel cookware, and you actually get a less safe dosage of that when you're using steel cookware than you would from aluminium cookware. I didn't word that quite right. What I mean to say is that it actually, if you read some of the academic articles out there, it looks like steel cookware may have be releasing have a higher level of concerning chemicals or metals being released during the sort of heating and scratching process than aluminium, although they're all under safe limits. But yeah, not too worried about that at all. And it's titanium, so at least that'll be safe, I hope. Who knows? Alright, see ya.